that's definitely one way forward.
I want to try and recap some of this stuff while we got you here, Devil Walk, because obviously that like the Zeus tweets and you here saying like you guys are getting punished when you guys didn't do anything wrong, which is bang on. You didn't do anything wrong, and you, unfortunately these consequences will be an issue for you for the RMR event. But is it more about like, because at some point, right, like at some point we have to be able to draw a line in the sand, right, and we have to go, okay, like we understand this is the case, this is a problem. Like we were just hearing from Messiosa saying that basically enforcing to 100% efficiency of making sure people aren't doing anything dodgy, whether it's extra people on team speaks, whether it's stream sniping, whether it's whatever, right? It's almost impossible or impossible to 100% effective nature stop people from doing that. If people really want to cheat, they can, is basically what we're saying. And when we say what they can, we're talking about bending the rules. We're not saying hacking. We're not saying, we're just saying bending the rules, these rules that have been put in place. But is the issue more that is the issue more from the community? One of these three things. I don't really know right now, because I was reading a lot of comments and the majority of people didn't even read it properly, and they thought that coaches were permanently banned. Is that misconception the issue? Is it the issue that coaches who didn't do anything wrong are being punished, or is it the issue that there's no communication, or is it all of them?
I mean, perfect world. It's like some things I understand. Like I understand they don't want the coaches to communicate, even though I think it sucks heavily. But that's a very biased opinion. But I generally think it's sad that people who are not being or who haven't done anything wrong is being punished, while the actual people who are cheating, it doesn't limit them in any way at all. Like that's the way I see it, and that's just, what's the point of it then?
Well, some of them are permanently banned, right? And some of them are banned from majors.
If they're permanently banned, what stops them from doing it again?
Well, true, right? But that's the thing. It's like what we're talking about here is people are just going to keep cheating, which is, I think, the reason that Valve banned everybody, right? Said for the RMR online events, we're going to remove it, so that way it's not a question.
Yeah, it only gives more effect to those who actually cheat. You will have a more, like, I guess, I don't know,
level playing field, right? Because you and Hunden will be on the same level now for the RMR.
Yeah,
that's true. But I think that.
But it's also like Hunden could cheat and he has nothing to lose, while I can't. Well, obviously I won't. But you understand the.
Yeah, I guess the whole team also has something to lose.
Yeah, like the stakes become like, if they're doing that, and like then there's no more what's the word, scapegoat, right? There can't be just, we weren't aware of that Hunden was cheating, so he's the only one getting banned, all the players and everything are fine. Like if anybody's caught in the future doing anything like that, the sanction would be for the whole team, for the org, for like everything, right? Like it's going to be a big drama. And I know what you're saying, like now, well, it's like, well, what do we have to lose? Like I'm already banned, but the org and the team have a lot to lose, right? If they do get caught cheating. Now, as we just mentioned, it is possible for people to cheat because it is online and they're able to bend and exploit those rules.
Is that clear in the? Maybe I didn't read it properly then. But that doesn't seem to have been clear in their statement.
Which part?
That everyone would be punished because.
Well, no, because but here's the thing: if no coaches are allowed to be involved, right? Because what we're making up right now is a hypothetical situation. So in the situation that it's an RMR event and it is heroic versus FPX, as per the rules, we have 5 FPX players in one room and we have 5 heroic players in one room. Maybe they'll be in their own bedrooms, but you guys get what I'm saying. No Devil Walk, no Hunden. Not allowed to be in TeamSpeak, not allowed to be in the server. Well, that was already the case for Hunden. Now it's the case for Devil Walk too. But if Hunden decided, I want to cheat with my team, and he wants to get in a TeamSpeak and it's a separate one and he can talk to his players and shit and he can watch the stream and he can give them information as the game is progressing, even though it would be delayed, and then they got caught, well, it wouldn't just be Hunden going down anymore because everybody knows explicitly that there shouldn't be any coaches. So if the players had that would mean that they'd have to get caught, right? But that's what we're saying. If you get caught, then everybody's going to suffer the consequences now because of this blanket ban. So I get why it's not a nuanced approach, right, from Valve. It's not even a one that's thoughtful enough to consider the potential loopholes, but it's a blanket approach so that if you do anything outside of these very strict rules, you will be fucked, right? That's the way I take this, is You guys want to play silly buggers? Well, next time we fucking catch you playing silly buggers, the rules are so strict. You're getting the belt, the braces. We're putting you in jail. Like you're fucked, right? So the reason that I'm not in a coaching position, so my potential income is not going to be taken away from me, like what Zeus was saying, and I appreciate what he was saying completely. It's just a bit hard for me to be able to resonate with that. I'm not in his exact shoes, but
I have to apply the fear presence of what might happen in the future to his reaction.
Yeah. And that right there, I can understand why coaches are waking up today going, holy shit, look at what these fucking cheating cunts have done. My job might not exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
But from what we have available to us, which is this written from Valve, and I understand explicitly they didn't say one way or another, but they're normally very careful with the words that they use. To me, I read it as this is just because coaches and people stream sniping have fucked up the integrity of online Counter-Strike, which has been seen excessively on Reddit, which is something that Valve have admitted before that they do read, and these issues are being quite blown up over the last 6 months. That Valve is stepping in to remove the ability for that integrity to be called into question on a broad scale.
I think one thing we have to point out here is we talked about it with Messi also. Like, it's not like these rules are gonna actually do anything about the possibility to cheat, but the optics of the entire ecosystem of the competition being, let's say, I don't know, just like tainted by stream sniping, by coaches, by this and that, by a lot of people being in the room. This is literally the Reddit conversation that happened. This is literally where it comes from, right? Valve are responding to the public, not the actual problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's dumb, because it's not solving the problem. But I understand why they want to do it, because they want to that facade that everything is great. They want that to be maintained, and that's kind of what they'll get, I feel like, from the mainstream and the average viewer. They'll be like, okay, they crack down on the coaches. Now fucking coaches, they can't cheat anymore, and everything's solved.
But yeah,
but it's not solved. But it just appears to be like that.
Yeah.
But that's because we're like in that position where we know what is possible, right? And like we know what could have been done and what would have been a better option. The problem is what we know could be done could only be done, in my mind, by 3 or 4 tournament organizers. The rest of the tournament organizers, the rest of the people running Counter-Strike tournaments, whether it's these home sweep home online cups, whether it's Eden Esports, any of these names that just primarily run online events, for them to have the infrastructure and resources to be able to police stuff in the same way on the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, whatever level, in the same way that we'd be expecting the tier 1 tournaments to do so, becomes an impossibility. So this rule coming in right now is one that, you know, they have explicitly just said it is for the online portion of RMR events. So if I'm going to think worst case scenario, that's 2 events this year. And you're right, Devilwolf, they are long events. Now, I don't know if the format's going to change or not, but they are quite long events, and they're played out to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Where normally, traditionally, our events aren't played out like that. There's just 2 guys are tied for 4, 2 guys. So there's a lot of Counter-Strike traditionally in these RMR events, but realistically over the entire calendar, Valve, this is what I'm taking, right? This is what I take from this. Valve don't want to get their hands dirty with this. And the best way to remove that possibility is just to say no more. Whereas ESL, they can have webcams in every room. Blast can have webcams in every room. They can have admins in all of the TeamSpeak monitoring these things. This thing where I'm seeing from people going, oh, it seems a bit harsh to ban the coaches. That's the thing that I think people are forgetting. If it's just 2 events, and then this is me now living best case scenario, which is something I never do. But let's just live best case scenario. It's just 2 online events. There's no coaches. The rest of the calendar, the rest of the year, everything's the same. We get back to LAN, and then it's like, yeah, okay, well, those of you coaches who actually haven't exploited a bug, yeah, you can come. You come to our event. You can be the coach. You can do what you normally do on LAN. Everything's fine, right? But this is all I'm getting at. Like I don't see how people expected Valve to do anything different when they've never shown that they're going to be that tightly involved with TOs, and they also cannot control all of the people running their events and how they enforce it. Like we look at Counter-Strike in such like a finite lens.
But I'll give you another perspective, Chad.
Sure.
Me, who obviously is the best coach ever.
Yeah.
This will reduce my chances to get into a major by not having the impact that I, obviously as the best coach ever, would have.
Yes. I can't deny you that. Like I cannot argue against, like, you know, the best coach ever part. Maybe we'll have a conversation about that. But I can't argue about the fact that it will not. Of course, it will affect you. It affects you personally, and it affects your team. But and this is where the question is this decision for the greater good, or is this being too harsh and people are being punished who shouldn't be? I can see both sides of the conversation, right? I can well and truly see both sides of the conversation, and on a personal level, and me talking directly to you or directly to Zeus or directly to one of these coaches, that fucking sucks. And I'm sorry that, you know, you guys are being punished for the actions of some other dickheads, because that's what it is. And Yanko, out of everybody, has been the harshest on these dickheads on Twitter. He's, you know, been saying, you should have been fired, you should never have been given this chance, because that's what it's done. These people, by doing the wrong thing, have brought all of us into disrepute, right? And people going, well, it's not fair, it's blanketing everybody. You're right, but that's not how the fucking world operates, right? Like, unfortunately, to come in and treat every single one of these cases with the nuance and everything that it desires, you are asking for something which I don't think it happens in most cases when we're talking about like legal shit in the world. I would say like a lot of cases when someone gets convicted of something, there's probably pretty blanket. They just fucking throw the book at the cunt and put him in jail in certain people, right? In this situation, like, I'm not in an ideal world. In an ideal world, I agree with everybody at home. Communication with Valve should be better. We should make sure that these bugs do not hang around. We should make sure that we know what's happening with our calendar, with our events. You know, they have their finger on the pulse of what we think is good for coaches. What we like, at least taking it into some form of consideration. I'm with everybody 100%, because clearer lines of communication are better for everybody. But there's
mean, it would have fixed the majority of these problems already if the clear line of communication existed.
And that, yeah, if those bugs didn't exist and then people didn't exploit them and all this, yeah, then we probably wouldn't have found ourselves here. But let's also keep this in mind. People did use the bug, they did exploit it, and a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, let's try again, a bunch of people did it maliciously, did it multiple times, did it multiple maps, did it multiple rounds, right? So Valve come in, they see all this. You know, the gif of what's his name, Troy and Abed, Troy walking into the room with the fucking pizza and everything's on fire. That's Valve. They walk in, everything's on fire. Yeah, sure, they might have a message, they might have a DM, they might have this, they might have that. But each of these problems are connected. All right, well, we can't fix a bug if we only have one report of it and we don't have any information. So we need more. Okay, so players, coaches, whatever, they DM that. With what Prof was saying, and this is going to pain me to say, right? But what you mentioned about Don Hassey, Prof, about him tweeting shit and it getting fixed or showing these bugs and exploits, he's actually doing something positive, because he's making sure a dickhead's going to go and exploit that bug for the next couple of days until Valve fix it in matchmaking, you know?
But it forces them.
Exactly. It makes it publicly known. Once it's publicly known, what happens? They have a shitload of data. Okay, now we have all the data. We have all the information. We know what causes the bug. We know what triggers it. We know that it has these 3 exploits, blah, 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 blah. We can fix it. We're talking about a guy going, hey Valve, there's this issue. I have no evidence. I don't have a demo. I have nothing to show you. Do you want any help finding that needle in a haystack? It's like, what? Like at some point here, like there has to be a trade-off. And I want Valve to communicate with us more, but we need to do better ourselves. So whether that means we set up some, like you were suggesting, some form of a community body or person that we can fucking talk to feed this stuff to. And then if that guy doesn't get a response from Valve in 2 weeks, then he makes it public. He puts it on Reddit. He says, this is a problem. It blows up. It gets gilded. People are, you know, upvoting. There's communication about it. Everybody knows about it. Boom, bang, done. Great.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that could be work like really, really well, because like as you're saying, like if people actually took it to heart and had an open conversation with that, I don't know if that would be like someone from HLTV or someone from, it doesn't really matter, but just someone that people can like kind of throw information at, and they would like collect it all and send like an actual email that makes sense, you know, with updates through patches, you know, maybe every like 2 weeks after a patch you collect all the oh, I have practice right now. Lol.
That's the coin chat.
Yeah.
Calling you on PSV.
So I'll have to go, but collect all of that and then kind of like construct an actual email and send it to you know, Valve in a thing that makes sense, you know, and he will
Yeah,
be,
sure.
you know, like, okay, you gave me too little information about this, you know, they will definitely need more than this. Can you supply that, or how to reproduce it, or whatever? And then he collects that and sends all that information in some sense.
Sure.
Just before you go, if you have
Yeah.
about 1 more minute, I just wanted to ask about one thing that people have kind of mentioned in the chat. Obviously, you're one of those teams who left their organization, who now has the stickers.
Yeah.
Do you know how that's going to be handled?
I mean, we had an agreement during 2020 about the stickers, but if they will honor it or not, I have no idea. Like
Okay.
I have a meeting with them tonight where I will know more about it, and you know, we will discuss it. But it's obviously like kind of a weird situation,
Sure.
because in my mind, I think that we deserve
sure.
to have, you know, that a cut of that at least. So
Well, if
yeah.
it wasn't the contracts, then for sure, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Devil Wolf, for your time.
Thank you.
We'll let him go because we don't want to keep Stico waiting anymore.
Yeah. Good luck
Enjoy.
with the practice.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Peace.